Hi, my name is Robert Vance, and I'm the Secretary of Ohio Advocates for Medical Freedom. You will very infrequently find me in front of the camera, as my other role in the organization is communications, so I'm typically the person behind the camera. Starting today, we will be releasing video testimony from our members who spoke to nearly an empty health committee last week regarding Ohio House Bill 559. The first few videos we will be sharing will be testimonies from the Ohio Advocates for Medical Freedom board members. Then we'll share with you testimonies from parents of vaccine-injured children, medical professionals, and other concerned Ohioans who oppose HB559. Chairman Huffman announced a new committee rule 2 hearings ago: no audio or video recording. Last week, he threw another curveball at us by limiting our testimonies to 3 minutes, despite having allowed earlier testimonies in the same hearing upwards of 20 minutes. He claimed that the testimonies were all pretty much the same, and there was no need to hear them all in their entirety. I wonder, though, since most weren't turned in until the day prior, how did Chairman Huffman have time to read 50-plus testimonies? You know, considering his busy schedule and all, the busy schedule that precluded him from sitting through more than one opponent testimony last week. If my testimony hadn't been rushed and limited to 3 minutes, this is how it would have gone. Chairman Huffman, Vice Chair Gavarone, Ranking Member Antonio, and honorable members of the Health Committee, thank you for allowing me to speak today about why I oppose House Bill 559. My name is Robert Vance. I'm the Secretary of Ohio Advocates for Medical Freedom and the father of 2 healthy and happy children. Today you will hear testimony on the countless reasons why House Bill 559 is flawed at best. But I want to address one specific statement that was made by the proponents at the last hearing, which referred to the opposition as a, quote, small minority. I want to assure you that, while small, the opposition is not insignificant, which is why I want to speak to you today on behalf of the countless Ohio parents who are unable to be here today in person to speak for themselves. Our organization has been collecting letters of opposition regarding HB 559. Today I would like to enter into the record over 1,000 letters of opposition from parents across the state who also oppose this bill, and there are many more to come. We have spoken with many of these parents, and their reasons for opposing this bill range greatly, including religious freedom, parental rights, and some have even suffered through the injury or loss of a child. Since several of the proponents provided anecdotal stories last week in an attempt to justify their efforts to coerce more parents into vaccinating their children, I will share with you just 4 real quick stories that counter their hyperbole. Militia from Drake County shared with me that when she was a teenager, she received the influenza vaccine over Thanksgiving break. Subsequently, she lost her voice, her heart rate skyrocketed, and her face became swollen, all as a result of the vaccination. She was diagnosed with Graves' disease and continues to suffer from fibromyalgia. Once she eventually had her son Hunter, she trusted her pediatrician, who told her that vaccines were safe, effective, and necessary. So Hunter received all of his newborn vaccinations. Militia says that he began to have digestive issues, developed eczema, and her new pediatrician believes that Hunter has celiac disease. Again, all due to vaccination. Morgan from Elmore explained to me that her perfectly healthy son Drew had just celebrated his 3rd birthday when he received both the influenza and polio vaccinations. Less than 6 days later, Drew suffered from a range of symptoms, and doctors would eventually diagnose him with type 1 diabetes. Again, due to vaccination. Donnell and Kettering told me that her son Caleb received his DPT vaccine at 6 weeks old, immediately spiked a fever, began convulsing and vomiting. He was diagnosed with vaccine-induced encephalitis. Caleb endured developmental delays, muscle atrophy, and was later diagnosed with autism. He's now 26 years old and remains nonverbal. Sarah in Oak Harbor shared with me that her daughter Peyton was vaccinated on schedule, and she later connected that after each vaccination her daughter would spike a fever and scream for days. Peyton developed various health problems including reflux, anaphylactic food allergies, vision and hearing issues, sensory processing disorder, and experienced multiple regressions, all contributed to the vaccination. Peyton is now 13 and remains neurodevelopmentally and intellectually disabled. Parents across the state choose not to vaccinate their children for a variety of reasons. Some medical, some religious, and some have just plain old philosophical differences on how to maintain a healthy lifestyle. Regardless, dismissing these parents and the aforementioned parents with vaccine-injured children as a insignificant minority or a cost of doing business is not only callous, it just demonstrates the significant conflict of interest that proponents demonstrated last week. To pretend that HB559 is about vaccination rate tracking is a straw man argument. If this bill were about tracking, proponents wouldn't have mentioned multiple times last week that vaccination rates would increase as a result of this bill. The proponents spent nearly all of their time delivering testimony that vaccines were safe, effective, and necessary. Yet they neglected to acknowledge that vaccines come with any risk whatsoever. Furthermore, they spent very little time discussing the merits of this bill or how it would be implemented from even a logistical or financial perspective. So despite their testimony last week, many of our questions and concerns are left unanswered. For the sake of tomorrow's children, I hope that said vaccine education as detailed in this bill will be more educational than the very lacking testimony that proponents provided last week, or the very lacking informed consent the aforementioned parents received before their children became vaccine injured. Each of the parents of the vaccine injured children I mentioned previously may have chosen a different path for their children had they been truly informed of the potential risk. Among many other reasons that time does not permit me to delineate, these parents, their children, and their liberty is why I oppose HB 559 and encourage you to as well. There you go. That was it. The testimony that Vice Chair Gavarone cut off halfway through. Not that it mattered anyway, since there were only 3 of 20 committee members present in the room when it was my turn to speak. Ohio Advocates for Medical Freedom will continue to fight this bill and future bills that intend to strip further rights from Ohioans' medical liberties. Continue to check our Facebook page daily for more video testimonies opposing HB 559. If you haven't yet, go to our website, ohioamf.org/HB559, to sign our online letter of opposition. Continue to write, email, and call your representatives. Together we can stop Ohio House Bill 559.